And because I'm a business person, I do some posting on LinkedIn, but that's not the biggest bulk of my posting for my show. The biggest bulk is the other ones I've mentioned.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I know just from following you and also being a guest on your show, I see how much you push out there on Twitter, and it's consistently being even after the show. So that, again, is another plus with doing Internet radio. And podcasting is evergreen, so it can continue being promoted.
Well, that's a great thing that you just said there, Cheri. And I want to make sure your listeners heard you. Evergreen. The evergreen factor of a podcast is very critical. I mean, there are certain podcasts that things change, so they can't be evergreen. They have a finite period of time. But if you're going to retweet them, you want to try and make them as much evergreen as possible.
That is really good. Especially, I mean, you could take a podcast, like you said, an interview, and you could actually either edit it yourself or get somebody to edit it for you and take out little individual sound bites and really make some interesting little inserts into your social media on that, so that people can hear exactly what you're referencing in your post.
Exactly. And I have to tell you that the other great thing about it is people don't realize that their podcasts can use them to create other products and that they can offer their audience, add on to it or bundle it. I mean, the possibilities are limitless.
I love how you say that.
And it's podcasting for profit, right, Richard?
You got it, girl.
I mean, well, ultimately we're in business to make money. I mean, that's the bottom line. And when we're implementing these type of strategies in our marketing, we definitely want to start seeing a profit. Can you give some examples of how you have used your podcast for profit? And I know you want to probably digress on those products as well, so that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, one of the things on my membership site is there are some podcasts that I have that are loaded with so much information that I don't offer them for free. What I've done is I've taken them and made them into a 4 15-minute segments, so it's easier for them to digest, because a lot of my podcasts have so much information that I was told by many people, oh my God, it's so much information. I get a little bit of it, and then I have to re-listen to it. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? For my membership site, I'm going to break some of them up and make them into 4s and make it a little bit. Yeah, make it a little bit more bite. So, take a 15-minute listen to one, work on that little piece of it, and then, after you've mastered that one, come back, listen to the other one, work on that other little piece of it, and so on and so forth. So it can almost be a program right then in itself for you.
Oh, exactly. And what you're doing is you're providing some steps for your membership members, your member site members, to actually be able to take action and implement more effectively than just having that overload, because we tend to get overwhelmed with so much information that is out there these days, and being able to know that you've taken the time and that you've recognized and you listened to your audience, that this is going to be a much more effective way for them to actually absorb it and then take that action that is needed.
Yeah, and that's something I've just started doing recently. So there's works, there are more works on that behind the scenes in the membership site that I'm constantly doing that and going back to some of the old ones and doing that for the audience, because I think it is so helpful for them. And, for example, you can even match a segment up with a handout. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And make it even more of a benefit for them, and that's another thing that I've done many times as well. So that's what I've done. But let me tell you, there are many other things that you can do in any business. So let's say you are looking at, you want to start a podcast and you're looking at something that's going to be more clinical or health-related business, such as a nutritionist, let's say. Then you're addressing different concerns in your podcast, right? So you're going to be addressing things like, say, simple and doable health practices that you can do every day to stay healthier. You want to address something like a list of inexpensive and healthy food products. All of these things you can address in your podcast, and then you can create handouts that you or workbooks that could be attached to it that eventually you can bundle with the podcast and those and sell it as a product. So you see how you're podcasting for profit.
I love that. No, I mean that's very very smart marketing on giving people that clue, because it doesn't matter. It could be a podcast, it could be a video, it could be a series of posts that you do up on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, and create a business resource from that. So no, that's an amazing, to me, example of creative income-generating activity that actually has a meaningful benefit to your clients or customers.
Absolutely. I mean, and it could go on, Richard. You can do a 30-minute healthy meal recipes for the business person, let's say, if you're that nutritionist. That's another product. You can do a little podcast about it and then create a partnered little book or an ebook that goes with it. Tasty and healthy snacks for your kids. I mean, weight control tips and strategies. I would go for that.
Well, what's so cool about it is that what you're doing is it's almost like a TV show, a series almost, or, you're doing a radio series, and they can't wait to hear more. But again, they don't have to necessarily, depending on what the format of the show is. If it's a daily show, they know they can tune in every day. However, if they cannot take that time to tune in on the exact time that the podcast or the internet radio show is producing, they have it where they can go download it. And you've provided them a means within your membership site that by being a member, they have access to it immediately.
Exactly. And like I said, the list can go on. I mean, I've got a list of a whole bunch of things. And this is the type of thing that when I have worked with people that I have coached for podcasting, we work together on a list of things that they can work on for their specific ones. Because people say, well, can't I just buy something and a template and do it? And you and I, Cheri, have had this conversation. It's just like social media. Yeah, there's a certain amount of things you can do, but it really, in order for it to work, it has to be customized to your needs, because one size does not fit all.
Exactly. Now, is there any special equipment that you use? You mentioned that when you were giving your, the 5 tips as far as what you want to make sure to have for those beginners and for those of us that are even involved in doing podcasting, making sure we have everything set up. You mentioned about, testing your equipment before you actually go on and do the podcast. Is there any certain, tools or equipment that you use or could recommend?
Yeah, it depends on how you are recording your podcast. So that's one of those that it depends. Like, for example, if you are producing your own and you actually are doing you're the person and you're just going to be talking by yourself with no guests for the time being, let's say that's your format, then I would suggest that there are a couple of mics that are really, really good. They change from time to time. I like the Blue Yeti. That one's very good. It has great quality. However, if you use certain things, you got to make sure that you set up some soundproofing in where you are at. So I have my own little secrets that I share with the people I coach on how I create a little soundproof area for the mic so that you still get that crisp sound without getting the reverb. And it's not expensive. You can do a lot of this very inexpensively. Just like if you opt to start it on your own and produce your own ones, there's free things out there that you can utilize to actually record your podcast. Even if you wanted to do an interview with somebody on Skype, you know, we talked about this a couple of times before. Sometimes Skype can be a little hinky. It has little blips. But, you know, you can always, if you're doing it yourself, or so they can always edit it a little bit for you if you need to. And there's free tools that you can get to actually record it from Skype. So there's a whole bunch of resources out there. There is, for example, Spreaker. You can sign up for free to be on Spreaker, and you get a maximum of 10 hours on that you can, meaning 10 podcast hours that you can post on Spreaker. So, for example, that's one example that you can utilize that, and then you know, as you get new ones, you take the old ones off, and you know, that gives you a nice stream, and you can get all that done. So those are just some little tidbits, but it depends on how you're doing it. If you are doing it through a conference call mechanism, then you just have to make sure you have a good phone, and if you're, you know, a good quality phone that is capturing the sound good, I would never recommend using voice over phones, because they go through the internet, and that gives you the same possible blip that you might have.
We've had situations in the past with some of our, our guests calling in if they aren't right here with us exactly. So that is a thing. All those little things you need to think about so that you have the quality that you want your listeners to. You know, it helps your listeners to want to hear you again if the quality is good, most definitely. So those are all great things. When you mentioned the mic, you said Blue Yeti. You want to spell that so that our listeners know?
Yeah, it's Blue Yeti. It's Y-E. What is it? Hold on a minute. I'm looking at it right now.
I had Yeti, but I said Eddie, didn't I? So
yeah,
Y-E-T-I is what I put. Is that?
Oh, no, one T.
One T. Y-E-T-I?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I was close. So, again, for our audience, and also go up to Amazon. I've been up on Amazon, and I've looked at a number of different mechanisms that, you know, well, you can actually, if you're going to be doing it on your smartphone, for example, you can have a stand for your smartphone with a little speaker area, place for you to put your speaker that has a little buffer on it so that you don't hear the breathing and and all that good stuff. There's so many different things out there, but you can get started very affordably and just practice with it. Even if you're not going to do anything with it immediately, it's a great place to start and have fun. And who knows what you'll do with it. You might just decide to put it out on your website as an audio.
There you go. And that's the whole thing. What I want to make sure the audience realizes is to take action.
I love that.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't. You know, it's better to have a poor plan executed than a great plan that's never executed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and because you can always tweak the plans. You can always tweak it.
Richard always says, you know, Rich always teases me because, you know, I've said I'm a recovering perfectionist, and he's gotten me over that. He's actually influenced my life. It says, let's just go dirty, Cheri. Let's just do it, because if you don't do it, you'll never do it if you wait to
you'll never learn. You know, I don't know why I'm the way I am, but I tend to learn much, much more from my mistakes and my mess-ups than I do from my successes. Yep. And so when